When I was 10 years old, I asked a question in school, when are we going to learn about money? He says, we don't study money at school. So why am I in school? So you can get a job and work for what? Money. So why don't we just study money? So I was 10 years old, I smelled a rat. If we're going to get a job to work for money, shouldn't we study money? And guess what? We still don't study money at school. So that's why I formed the Rich Dad Company. So for those who want to understand money, got a place to go to. Hi, I want to talk to you young people out there, male and female. This is my second book here, the cash flow quadrant. It's E, S, B, or I. You can see that there. So one of the mistakes I hear young people say, because a lot of my classmates said it, oh, I don't have to worry about money. I'm still young. And that's the mistake they make. They don't get started. The reason I say the E, S, B, or I, E stands for employee. S stands for specialist or smart person. See, my dad was an employee, he was a school teacher. And my dad as a school teacher always said to me, go to school and get a safe, secure job. But I said, I want to get rich. So my mother was a nurse. So she says, go to med school, become a doctor. I said, Mom, doctors are smart. She said, you're right. I'm not going to make it as a doctor or a scientist or an engineer or something like that. And B stands for big business, like Elon Musk is B. Steve Jobs was a B. Trump is a B. And I stands for insider investor. In other words, we invest from the inside. E's and S's invest from the outside. They buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and those things. I don't like them. So I wanted to produce my own stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. So that meant my education. The reason I say the mistake young people make is, oh, I don't have to worry. I'm still young. Well, it takes a lot of time to study to be an I, inside investor. And it takes a lot of time to become an Elon Musk. I mean, it's dedication. Put a lot of things at risk here. So that's why for many people, they say this book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, changes their lives. But you've got to start. So when I was in the Marine Corps, left the Marine Corps in '74, my poor dad, being an employee, said to me, Robert, why don't you get a job with the airlines, be a pilot? Dad, I just got through flying in Vietnam for 2 years. I would make a good pilot. It'd be too dangerous for everybody else flying with me. And my mother said, why don't you go to med school? I said, Mom, you gotta be smart. So I went to see my rich dad, because rich dad was in the B and the I side. The B and I side are capitalists. You have to be a capitalist at heart. Over here, you can be what you like. But B's and I's are capitalists. So I wanted to be an I, an inside investor. So that's why my rich dad said to me, you've got to understand debt. So that's why when I was still in the Marine Corps, I would take courses on real estate. First, how to find a deal. Because these guys here, they just buy what their financial planners tell them. They're outside investors. On the inside, I learned one thing right away. To find a good investment, you have to look at 100 minimum. So I had to look for 100, and process the data in my head. What made it a good investment and how much debt could I apply to it and still make money, not lose money. So that's why I took real estate courses. To become a B, a big business owner, my rich dad said there's 2 skills essential for a business owner. Number 1, you've got to learn how to sell. Number 2, raise capital. See, these guys here don't. They don't know how to sell, a lot of them. They don't know how to raise capital. While I'm taking real estate courses, as I left the Marine Corps, I got a job with Xerox to learn how to sell, because Xerox had the best sales training in those days. So I interviewed with IBM and Xerox. And the IBM guy, I didn't like at all. He was a hiring guy. He couldn't look me in the eye. And the Xerox guys, I met them at a job fair, and they were sitting there. IBM guys have dark blue suits, white shirts, and red ties. The Xerox guys had these flashy suits and all this. They were sitting at a job fair at University of Hawaii. I was a Marine walking in there. College kids are going by, and I'm walking by the desk, and so the IBM guy couldn't look me in the eye. I thought that was strange. But the Xerox guys, they're in these flashy suits, and they got a cooler of beer behind them. They're drinking. They're going, hey, baby! They're yelling at the chicks walking by, the girls. That's how I like those guys. So that's how I went over to the Xerox guys to hire. I also interviewed with New York Life and insurance companies for the sales training. But Xerox and IBM had the best sales training. So that was my choices. They sent me to school and all this. So I'm sitting down with the Xerox guys, and we're drinking beer and all this. And this guy named Gene McGarity, he says, what do you do in your spare time? I said, I play rugby. And he was a rugby player. Even though I didn't have my MBA, they overlooked it. Said, do you have a master's? I said, you have an MBA? I said, no. You play rugby? I said, yeah. He said, okay, we'll hire you. You know what I mean? So you have to learn how to sell yourself. And then from there, I had to learn how to raise capital. Because if you don't know how to raise capital, you can't be in this business. And raising capital is very similar to being an I, because I'm raising capital from I's. Investors. So that's what Kenny McElroy and I know how to do. We can sell and we can raise capital. So again, I'll say it, and the biggest mistake I see young people make is, oh, I don't have to worry, I'm still young. The biggest problem with these, that employees pay 40% of their income in taxes. So job security costs you 40% of your income. S's, doctors and lawyers pay 60% in taxes worldwide. And B's pay about 20%. But the I can get down to 0% because the world needs people. They need capitalists to invest in businesses and grow companies and all this. So the skill sets of E, S, B, and I are very, very different. And it takes time to change the mind. So I ask you, what were your parents? E's, S's, B's, or I? My parents were E's. My mother was a nurse, she's still an E. And my rich dad was a B or an I. The other thing I ask people today, young people, say, who are your best friends today? Are the E's, S's, B's, or I's? As you guys know who do my videos, my friends are B's and I's. Kenny McElroy, George Gammon, and all that. It's not just saying I'm going to be an E, S, B, or an I. There is a metamorphosis, a transformation that goes on inside of you. So one of the reasons I'm not afraid of not having a job is I can raise money. If I need money, I have no problem going to raise money. So one of the goals of the B and I is, can you take a company public on a stock exchange? So my first deal I did was, I think, 2004. I took a gold mine in China public on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and we struck gold. And I don't buy shares. I don't buy stocks. I sell stocks. The mindset is completely different. But the thing I learned, doing a deal in China, can't trust the Chinese. I hate to say that. But as soon as we struck gold in China, it's one of the biggest finds was in Dalian, China. The Chinese took it. So I learned the definition of the word country risk. I don't do business in China. I go where the laws are strict and strong. That's like England, great laws. America has great laws. But that's how you learn by, trial and error. So then I took another company public. It was a silver company in Argentina. That one did well. And we sold it to another company. So I don't buy shares. Capitalists create shares and sell it. And the best deal I did was a gold mine in Utah. And it was just a great deal. It's an old gold mine, 140 years old. And my partners are Canadians. And they said, hey, we found a deal. We've got to raise money for it, though. And what they did is they found the mining records from 140 years ago. So they used AI to analyze the records of these gold miners from 140 years ago. And they did all the analysis, and they said, oh my God, 140 years ago, those miners missed the vein. It was such a rich area, but they missed the biggest vein. So what do? We raised money, and it's my first company I ever took public on a New York Stock Exchange. Again, I'm not a buying shareholder, I'm a selling shareholder. What I'm saying is your goals change. When I helped list that company on New York Stock Exchange, it was like, that's how you know you're a B, an I, or a capitalist. So that gold mine, because it was 140 years old, but we used modern technology to analyze it, made us extremely rich people. But we got even richer when we took it public on the New York Stock Exchange. So E, S, B, or I, they're mindsets. And what takes the time is the education to change your mindset. It's a metamorphosis or a transformation. It's like a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. That's the difference going from here to here. If you want to find out more about it, that's why I say this book here, The Cash Flow Quadrant, is the most transformational book they can go through, because it causes them to question, what are my belief systems? Am I looking for job security? An employee always says the same words. I say secure job with a steady paycheck and benefits. That's my dad. My mom says, if you want it done right, S's, do it by yourself. So most doctors and lawyers and all that, they can do their job on their own. They're not team players. And B's and I's, you have to put together a team. And so your being is different. B's are different than I. I had this one silly woman come up to me, I'm an I. I said, good. How many companies have you taken public? I haven't. I said, so why do you say an I? Because I say I am. And that's how stupid people are today. Show me the proof. Show me the money. Show me your company. And then the B's, 500 employees or more. So your skills are different, your mindset's different, the education is different. And there's still E's or S's. They never make it here because this takes time, takes education, training, and a metamorphosis. It's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. So when I started listing companies on the stock exchanges, I was a free man. I could make as much money as I want, and I was in control of it. That's what I wanted. The question is, what do you want? You want to be an E, S, B, or I. There are different people, different education, different training.